The beginning of time, our quest to fly has eluded us. Now, for the first time,
David Copperfield will attempt to throw off the chains of gravity, leave the Earth, and fly.
Flying, live the dream. Tuesday, 9:30 on Channel 9.
Get ready for the Big Bang this Sunday.
I'm Chaos and he's Mayhem. We're a double act.
Mel Gibson.
Crazy son of a... Yeah!
Lethal Weapon 3, Sunday Nitro on 9.
Nightline is proudly brought to you by Ansett Australia, one of the world's great airlines, and The National, tailoring banking to your needs.
France says Australia shares the blame for Tahiti's riots. Doubts from the Easton Royal Commissioner prove a bonus for the government, and our top swimming coach quits to head overseas.
From National 9 News, this is Nightline with Jim Waley.
Good evening. Tahiti is finally calm tonight after a day of standoffs rather than the violence of the previous 24 hours. Security is not only on the streets in greater strength, but the protesters themselves appear more willing to listen to calls for restraint. French government officials have blamed foreign interference for the riots, particularly Greenpeace and Australia. This report from Hugh Remington in Papeete.
The early signs did look bad from just after daybreak. The first of the protesters again gathering at the airport. But there was a clear change of police tactics this time. A preemptive strike scattered the demonstrators as they bunched outside the ruined terminal complex. Acts of defiance continued, but French authorities, backed by fresh reinforcements of riot police and legionnaires, held the upper hand throughout the day today. But Greenpeace, dismayed by the terrible scenes of destruction and fearing the overnight looting would be repeated once the sun went down, appealed for calm and a return to non-violence. The organisation's non-essential personnel were told to evacuate, leaving by ferry to nearby islands. The Tahitian protest leader initially vowed the confrontations would continue.
The feeling of anger, frustration and humiliation is there.
But tonight, he returned to the airports and appealed to the protesters to spike the French instead through the ballot box. This time, they listened, and almost all headed home. Most of the anger now is coming from elsewhere. The French Polynesian president, Gaston Flosse, who surveyed destruction estimated at tens of millions of dollars, blamed foreign politicians, media, and Greenpeace for the rioting, mentioning Australia by name.
La presse australienne, la presse néo-zélandaise.
On the streets as well, fury was vented at Australian media by those whose businesses had suffered at the hands of the mob.
Why are you blaming the media for what went on?
Go home.
Because you're here. That's the reason. It's like this. Didn't this happen?
Go.
Didn't you?
You kill people in your country. You kill people.
You killed people.
You.
Australians here are being officially advised to stay off the streets and stick to their hotels.
There's no point in getting yourself injured or even killed.
Not knowing exactly what's going on and how long it's going to last for is the biggest hassle.
But for now, Papeete remains eerily quiet after the chaos of last night, a time when everyone seems to be taking a moment to reflect on what's happened here. For the anti-nuclear movement, the message has become a little lost in the chaos of Papeete. And for the French, nuclear testing isn't their only Pacific problem. Simmering and ready to boil again, a Tahitian independence movement plainly willing to fight to break the ties with Paris. In Tahiti, Hugh Remington reporting for Nightline.
Foreign Minister Gareth Evans has brushed off claims that Australia helped trigger the Tahitian riots. He says the violence is detracting from the principal message against nuclear testing.
Senator Evans says in no way does Australia condone the violence in Papeete, and he rejected out of hand French claims Australia is partly to blame for the riots.
The French have reaped the whirlwind they've sown.
He also says the French government has it wrong if it thinks the riots are purely pro-independence.
But these protests wouldn't be occurring at all were it not for the French decision to resume testing. There has been a serious underestimation by the French government of the extent and intensity of the feeling about this.
In Canberra, Greenpeace demonstrators marched first to Parliament House to demand Australia send a frigate to Mururoa, Then they continued on to the French embassy, which they surrounded. Among the demonstrators, several French citizens, equally angered at the resumption of testing.
We're not losing hope, we're really gaining more strength, I think. And already Jacques Chirac has announced he would maybe decrease, so who knows, if we're still going on, we might win at the end, and I hope we will.
If we can even stop one test, that's still a victory, and we're pretty hopeful that if we keep the pressure on, we can make this first test the last test.
Also in the national capital, one of the first acts of the National Party's annual conference was to pass a resolution condemning the tests. In Darwin, 4 Greenpeace protesters chained themselves to containers holding what they claim is Australian yellow cake destined for Europe.
No uranium! No bombs! No
They were removed after about 5 hours. An Australian delegation in Paris has begun its meetings with French officials, suggesting France wouldn't need to test again if they used information already in the possession of America and Britain.
The Minister for Defence didn't say yes to this offer, but he didn't say no.
And demonstrations have also continued across Europe, German school children joining in the protests. The message the same as the one displayed by the Swiss football team in Sweden. Raymond Dale for Nightline.
The French are clearly becoming more sensitive on home soil as well. In the last few hours, up to 10 Australians have been arrested for handing out anti-nuclear leaflets on the Champs-Élysées. The government's been hoping to convince the electorate that the Easton inquiry is a shambles, and their cause was given a kick-along by the Commissioner himself today. Ken Marks said the Commission was embarrassing and he wished it was over, but he rejected calls to stand aside.
In Perth this morning, Carmen Lawrence's lawyer turned up the heat on the Royal Commission that's threatening her career. Mr Roger Giles QC called on Mr Ken Marks to disqualify himself from the inquiry, provoking an extraordinary outburst from the Royal Commissioner. Mr Marks said the sooner the Commission came to an end, the better. I took on the task of being a Royal Commissioner without actually realising the storm that was likely to be unleashed, he said.
The government was intent on destroying the professional reputation and integrity of the Royal Commissioner.
Showing the pressure, Mr Marks said it was embarrassing that issues involved in the Royal Commission gave rise to the impression that he was going to make a political determination. The terms of reference have turned out to be fairly restrictive, he complained. I think the experience here has demonstrated that the usefulness of Royal Commissions is fast receding.
The honourable thing for the Premier to do now is to bring these proceedings to a close.
The Commissioner's remarks seriously embarrassed Premier Richard Court, who set up the inquiry into events that preceded the suicide of Perth lawyer Penny Easton. According to the Prime Minister, today's events justify his devastating attack on the Royal Commission in Parliament last week. Mr Marks said the inquiry had become almost impossible to control. His position was probably irrecoverable, but it would be cowardly of him to stand aside and he'd just have to grit his teeth. The opposition had started to edge back this morning, even before the Royal Commissioner's latest comments.
Oh, I don't think the Carmen Lawrence issue in total has anywhere near the impact of things like the current account deficit and the foreign debt, and I never have.
Laurie Oakes for Nightline.
A man plans to appeal after being found guilty for the second time of murdering 3 young people at a Melbourne house. Ashley Coulston won a retrial after his first conviction. Last night he was found guilty again. Coulston's plan to appeal once more has angered the parents of the victims. Peter Dempsey, Anne Smurden and Karen Henstridge were shot in their rented Burwood home 3 years ago. Coulston was later caught with the alleged murder weapon during a shooting rampage. He'll be sentenced on Monday. Australian Rugby League centre Terry Hill has been found guilty of assaulting 2 men. Hill was fined almost $1,500 for tackling and punching Tony Twiss and Peter Cray after they tried to intervene in an argument he was having with his wife. Hill was also given a 2-year good behaviour bond. His victims plan to sue him for $500,000 damages. Don Talbot was not the one up on the dais collecting the honours, but over the years he's certainly played a major role in Australia's swimming resurgence. Now, though, he's heading off to train the English. The shock announcement leaving our national team in troubled waters less than a year before the Atlanta Olympics.
He's helped steer Australian swimming to near the top of the world, and now just 10 months before he could fulfil that goal in Atlanta, Don Talbot has quit.
I heard it this morning actually at home, just on the radio, and I was very shocked because I didn't even know it was coming.
Neither did anyone else. Talbot chose to drop his bombshell by facsimile, offering his resignation by way of a handwritten note.
That's the way Don does things. I wouldn't have expected he'd do it any other way.
Talbot has left Australia before. This time it's to England, guiding them through to the 2000 Games.
I'm not surprised, really, because this job was rumoured about 6 months ago, and we know Don. He's already taken a job in Canada and had a job in the US.
Talbot's letter is the only contact he's had with swimming officials. They say he's taking no calls. As to the offer, his former colleagues suspect that it was simply too good to refuse.
If the figures are right that's been announced by Britain, it's a fairly good incentive to go with a new challenge.
His successor will be announced next month. Whether his departure will cause a wave or a ripple, Australia is sure to find out in Atlanta.
All the swimmers are swimming so well at the moment, and I think they're really focused on their goals for next year, and I don't think anything will stop them from achieving what they want to.
Damien Ryan for Nightline.
After the break, Bosnian peace talks resume, but the bombing continues, and Hurricane Luis batters its way across the Caribbean.
Cronulla clash with Newcastle in the first semi, 4 o'clock tomorrow on 9.
You know, I am so pleased I bought my new digital from a mobile net dealer. Hey, I really think I got more for my money.
I'm pleased you're pleased.
And it works in more countries.
Yeah.
And I've got more security with digital.
Yeah.
And I've got more digital cellular coverage in Australia because they've got more base stations.
Yeah, more base stations.
And I've got more ways of receiving calls and messages with digital. Mobile net memo, call diversion, and message bank. You know, what I've got is a more mobile mobile. More mobile mobile. Hey, I should be in advertising.
You are, Chucky. You are.
I am.
Make your mobile more mobile with MobileNet Digital.
There was quite a lot of negative reaction to the decision to recruit unemployed people. There was a fear about the people not fitting the business. The sorts of things that those people brought to the business was a real sense of loyalty. So a lot of those people that we recruited 12 months ago are still with us.
Even the skeppies have changed their tune. Call 13 1180 or your local CES office and talk about the job-ready employee you're after. Working Nation can work for your business too.
The greatest soundtrack album ever. 32 all-time classics. 25 top 10 hits. 9 number ones. 2 fantastic CDs. Forrest Gump, the soundtrack, the album of a lifetime.
8:30 Saturday, a special encore performance of the concert event of a lifetime. By popular demand, Barbra Streisand returns with what is one of the greatest performances of all time. Barbra the Concert, a special encore presentation, 8:30 Saturday. Then, at 10:45, a television premiere. Whitney Houston in concert, Saturday night on 9.
New South Wales voters go to the polls tomorrow for local government elections. 4,000 candidates have nominated for 1,800 positions on 170 councils. Residents face a $50 fine if they don't vote. US negotiators and Balkan leaders meeting in Geneva say they hope to make a major announcement on the future of Bosnia within the next few hours. But the prospects of a solution to the 40-month war have not stemmed NATO airstrikes on Serb positions around Sarajevo.
Today's gathering in Geneva is a landmark meeting. It's the first time in 2 years all three sides have agreed to talk face to face.
No statement. Excuse me, make a line here.
The man behind it, American mediator Richard Holbrooke, is privately confident of a breakthrough. He intends to announce within the next few hours a set of principles that all sides have agreed to. These will include the recognition of Bosnia as a sovereign legal state and its division. The Muslim Croat Federation will take 51% of the land, the Serbs 49%. As a broad agreement, it's an achievement, but the devil will be in the detail. And it's agreement on detail which will actually halt the fighting. Meanwhile, NATO jets continued overnight to pound Bosnian Serb positions in an attempt to force them to lift the siege of Sarajevo.
I do not think the Serbs have a good military option at the present time, Robin. I think they've run out of satisfactory alternatives, and I think General Mladic would be well to recognize that point.
Russian President Boris Yeltsin this morning publicly sided with his fellow Slavs, strongly condemning the airstrikes and pledging political support for the Serbs. His statement will not, however, derail today's crucial political offensive. There is now some real optimism in diplomatic circles that progress is likely. The Americans want to move fast, clinching a deal within the month. But further agreement will be very, very difficult. And anyway, the handshakes of politicians in foreign capitals don't always convince their commanders on the ground.
A faulty timer on a school bell has saved hundreds of students from a terrorist bomb in the French city of Lyon. The attack on a Jewish school is the 6th in France in as many weeks, all believed to be the work of Algerian extremists. Police say the latest bomb, which injured 14 passers-by, was timed to explode as children were leaving the school. But the timer was 2 minutes slow, and most students were still in their classrooms. The tiny island of St. Martin is the latest victim of Hurricane Luis, which continues to carve its way across the Caribbean. At least 13 people have been killed and hundreds have been reported missing. Entire neighborhoods have been demolished, luxury hotels wrecked, fishing boats and yachts piled on one another. A host of new young rock performers have stolen most of the glory at the 12th annual MTV Awards in New York. But old stagers Michael Jackson and Madonna have also been honoured. During the ceremony, Jackson chopped and changed his costumes, and Madonna swore a lot.
Michael Jackson makes fewer public appearances these days than Salman Rushdie, but last night he made up for it with a routine lasting 15 minutes. He wore not one, not even two, but in the end, 3 different costumes before going on to win the award for the best dance video with his sister.
My favorite thing about doing this Scream video was it was really an excuse to work with my sister Janet.
Not to be outdone, Madonna came on undone before swearing into the microphone, something that seems almost compulsory at these awards. She also won Best Female Video. But the female trio TLC really swept the board, winning 4 awards for their hit single Waterfalls. The old stagers may have stolen the show, but they'd better watch out. The newcomers took home the really serious silverware.
Ahead on Nightline, our Friday night sports report, including tonight's AFL, a league preview, baseball's Iron Man, and a tough day at the US Open.
On 60 Minutes.
It's not good medicine and it's not good for the community.
The great debate over childbirth.
Why shouldn't women have the choice?
Why Australia's caesarean rate has gone through the roof.
I know of people who've been sued for not performing caesarean sections.
Also, Queen of Rock, Melissa Etheridge.
So was there a cataclysmic moment?
Guess when I first kissed a girl, I suppose.
Her lover and their unconventional life.
Which of you will have the children, will bear them?
Toyota presents 60 Minutes, Sunday. Introducing a most surprising family car, the Hyundai Sonata, with 4-wheel disc brakes and a powerful 2-litre engine. But it's very fuel efficient. And roomy. Hello! Sonata also comes with airbag safety and a 3-year, 100,000-kilometre warranty. And most surprisingly, from just $24,990, you don't need to be made of money to own one.
These days, I don't have much time to spend in the laundry or to wonder whether my washing powder will really clean the dirtiest clothes. I'm just too busy. And I don't like spending heaps of money on expensive washing powders, hoping that they'll do the job. I like to get it right first time. So I get first in value. It's first in performance, and it's the last word on clean.
Mom! First in value, first in performance, new and only at Kmart.
Love to wake up and I see
The unique Sealy Posturepedic support system senses your weight and responds, giving orthopedically correct back support.
Never fear, value is here with the great savings of Brusher Superstore Super Deals. Remote control CD player, an unbelievable $99. And for 2 days only, get 12 months interest free. Open till 9 p.m. Saturday. Brusher Superstore Super Deals.
On weeknights, Telstra STD rates are reduced after 6 p.m. That's a help. So, give someone a call.
Sport now, and tonight's qualifying final between Richmond and North Melbourne has ended in a strong win for the Roos. After a tight opening, there was a 30-point difference at the final siren. North Melbourne led by just 1 point at half-time, but ran away with the game. Skipper Wayne Carey and John Longmire just too strong up front. Meanwhile, Steve Kernahan is back on his feet, recovered from a virus and ready to take the field for Carlton against Brisbane on Sunday. The Bears arrive in Melbourne tomorrow, but they've already fired the first shot in the battle. Here's Lou Richards' preview.
Although newcomers to September, Brisbane is being a little cheeky with this newspaper ad, urging non-Carlton fans to jump on the Bears bandwagon and boo the Blues. At Optus Oval tonight, it was all cheers when Stephen Kernahan appeared on the track. He didn't train on Wednesday because of a virus. The skipper refused all media interviews tonight, preferring to concentrate on the job at hand.
You know, usually when he plays well, we play well, and he's just... what a lot of people don't realise is his captaincy out in the field is just tremendous, and everyone lifts when he's playing, and it's not only what he's doing football-wise, it's just the talking aspect of it as well.
While the Blues go into the Brisbane game as the 6-1 on favourites, the battle between Geelong and Footscray is expected to be a much closer affair. After the belting these two sides gave each other a fortnight ago, there are a few scores to settle.
It'll be the same again on Saturday night. It'll be a good, hard game, and, you know, both sides go at the ball pretty hard, so hopefully Footscray will come out on top.
All we're really doing is looking to put in a good performance tomorrow night to go another step forward.
So here we go with the old kiss. In tomorrow's two matches, West Coast will defeat Essendon, and Geelong will get the better of the Bulldogs. And while I'd love to see Brisbane win on Sunday, the Blues will be too good. Lou Richards for Nightline.
It's do or die time in rugby league this weekend. 2 more teams to be knocked out of the premiership race. Cronulla meets Newcastle tomorrow, while on Sunday the Bulldogs go up against Brisbane. The Broncos' fate riding very much on their inspirational skipper.
It's been the most asked question in Brisbane all week. Will Alan Langer play against the Bulldogs? The Broncos captain is battling a thigh injury, which flared again last weekend against Canberra, and will be given until kick-off this Sunday to prove he's recovered. But the opposition has already declared him fit.
Yeah, I put Alfie in the Terry Lamb class. You know, I'm backing him to be there.
The Bulldogs are bound to use Terry Lamb's final season as a motivator. But the last thing Barbar wants is to finish a brilliant career in the sin bin, like he did last Saturday against St George.
I not only let myself down, I let my teammates down and the public down that are Canterbury supporters, and you won't see it happen this week for sure.
Tomorrow, Cronulla plays Newcastle, and the Knights know what to expect from the Sharks' Mitch Healy.
We might see the odd bomb going up, provided we're in field position.
It's a good kick by Healy, right across the ground. They go up for it.
A fortnight ago, Healy's high balls created nightmares for Newcastle, but today at training, the Knights were busy rehearsing their own bombing raids.
Oh, yes.
It is very difficult to defend against that type of pinpoint accuracy, and we hope to be able to do a little bit of that ourselves.
Cronulla will start favourite, but last Sunday's loss to Manly might still be playing on the minds of the Cronulla players. For this reason, I'll tip Newcastle. Sunday's semi should be a beauty, but I'll tip Brisbane just to sneak home, with or without Alan Langer. Paul Vorton for Nightline.
In tonight's Legends of League match, it was a tight win for the former New South Wales Stars. Both sides ran in 5 tries, an extra goal giving the Blues their 2-point victory. They may have been carrying a few extra kilos and a little less hair, but there was no shortage of action. Former Test winger Eric Roth clinched the game for New South Wales with 2 late 4-pointers. The lineup for the US Open semi-finals is set. Pete Sampras will meet Jim Courier in an All-American match, while Andre Agassi takes on Boris Becker. It was Sampras's day against Byron Black, while Courier came from behind in each set to roll Michael Chang.
While Agassi and Sampras command the bulk of attention, Courier and Chang have been quite devastating in their role through the Open.
And Courier just kept coming back.
But Chang blew the lead in every set, despite some brilliant tennis. Courier played like the old days, the days when he was the world's best. Now he faces friend Pete Sampras in the semis. Sampras getting things a little easier against Zimbabwe's Byron Black. He won the first in a tiebreak, then dropped just 4 games over the next 2 sets. His 22nd ace, a 205 km/h match-winning bullet. Peter Overton for Nightline.
These days, international sportsmen seem to grab the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Drug-taking, bribery, tantrums and greed have left the image of some of our favourite games a little tarnished. But in the United States, they have a new hero, baseballer Cal Ripken Jr. He's not the best to step up to the plate, but Ripken is a man who plays and plays and plays. Ripken has just broken the record for consecutive games, more than 2,000 over 13 years.
It was straight out of a Hollywood script as, on his night of nights, Cal Ripken Jr. stepped up to the plate.
Rip to left! Oh my goodness! He's done it again!
But this was nothing compared to the game's halfway mark when the record became official. 2,131 consecutive games of Major League Baseball. The game stopped for almost 23 minutes. He was hailed by his parents, even the president and vice president, but for him, most touching was the reaction of the ordinary fan.
Seeing the enthusiasm up close, was really meaningful.
Cal Ripken first played for the Baltimore Orioles on May 30th, 1982. The shortstop hasn't missed a game since. More than 160 games a season, usually 5 times a week, sometimes twice a day.
The fact of the matter is that I didn't set out to do it.
The throw by Sierra and Cal goes over the catcher.
And I've been lucky, and I've been fortunate, but at the same time, I've grinded it out, and I've played with injuries.
Diving stop by Cal from his knees.
The legendary Lou Gehrig, nicknamed the Iron Horse, held the old consecutive games record, a record considered invincible. When a fatal disease forced his retirement in 1939, he spoke of the game's greatness, not his own.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I know that if Lou Gehrig is looking down on tonight's activities, he isn't concerned about someone playing one more consecutive game than he did. Instead, he's viewing tonight as just another example of what is good and right about the great American game.
With fans so disillusioned by last year's players' strike, Cal Ripken's devotion is seen as a tonic for baseball. And as Baltimore continued to honour him today, this sportsman earning $7 million a year rejected the notion he's a hero.
No matter how good of a baseball player you are, you're simply a baseball player.
In the United States, Nick McCallum for Nightline.
And still to come, the latest finance and the weekend weather.
It's here, double nitro, Sunday nitro, the explosive, Mel Gibson,
You crazy son of a... Yeah!
Danny Glover.
I'm Chaos and he's Mayhem. We're a double act.
Lethal Weapon 3, Monday Nitro.
Bad cop, worst cop.
Sylvester Stallone.
Thinks he's Rambo. Rambo is a pussy.
Kurt Russell.
We're in. What is he going to try? Stevie Wonder.
Tango and Cash Monday, Lethal Weapon 3 Sunday. Double Nitro on 9.
Where to today, Ted?
Asia, Nico. Let's hit it.
is a busy place.
Busy moving into the next century.
Is that why we're here today?
Telstra's been in Asia for years, Nico.
Advancing Australia?
I suppose we are, yeah.
Not bad.
Competes with the best.
Best what?
Network builders. So the better people communicate, the better it is for business. Not to mention Australia's balance of trade.
You'll go far, Ted.
Already have.
The unique Sealy Posturepedic support system senses your weight and responds, giving orthopedically correct back support.
Headache number 80. The long drive with the kids headache.
Mom, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Dimedon with pure paracetamol. Fast relief for the 101 headaches in your life.
This Saturday, don't miss all the race action at Rose Hill Gardens. I'm out by Rivercab. There's even a train to the door. And the parking's free. Rose Hill Gardens this Saturday. We'll look after you. It's great entertainment.
Take that, Paul Value, with the great savings of Russian Superstore Super Deals. Buy the Packard Bell DX266, save $200 on a printer, and for 2 days only get 12 months interest free. Open till 9 p.m. Saturday. Russian Superstore Super Deals.
Now, finance news, and the Australian share market closed 3 points down today. In Tokyo, an interest rate cut by Japan's central bank pushed the Nikkei up 658 points. In London tonight, the FT100 is 10 points up in morning trading. Gold is fetching $383 an ounce. And in European trading tonight, the Australian dollar is buying 75.27 US cents, 1.11 Deutschmarks, 75 yen and 48p. The national weather. And there's a high over the New South Wales coast, a cold front in the Bight, and another high moving across from the west. The forecast's fine in Brisbane and Darwin, mostly fine for Sydney and Hobart, showers in Canberra and Melbourne, clearing in Adelaide, and in Perth, some early rain. That's the news this Friday night from all of us here at Nightline. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Nightline was proudly brought to you by The National, tailoring banking to your needs, and Ansett Australia, one of the world's great airlines.
7:30 Monday on 9, double up with laughter.
There's a talent. I'll say.
With a double dose of TV's funniest psychiatrist.
Just another evening out. Dr. Fraser Craig.
Frasier's romantic holiday.
Fraser? Oh, my God!
Produces an unexpected visitor.
What's that? What's what? Lilith is making love in there.
I don't hear a thing.
Exactly.
Nominated for an incredible 12 Emmy Awards.
Lilith is going to be married again. To who? Someone else. Oh, that's great!
Frasier at the special time, 7:30 Monday. This program proudly brought to you by Sydney Harbour Casino. Hit the big time.